Now, the National Assembly Public Debt and Privatization Committee has maintained that the 10 trillion shillings debt ceiling passed by Parliament should not be exceeded in the next budget. While presenting its report on the medium-term debt management strategy, committee members argued that the county should only borrow up to 585 billion shillings. The 587 billion shillings window is, however, lower than what was proposed in the budget policy statement that proposes borrowing of up to 720 billion shillings. The committee's report, which is also proposing a 50-50 domestic as well as foreign borrowing on grounds that external borrowing has lower interest rates, elicited varied reactions among the legislators.
Borrowing, as proposed in the current budget, is done at the end of this year, June, which is now the current year. We'll have only a window of borrowing of, Honorable Speaker, 587 billion. When you look at the BPS, Honorable Speaker, the proposal is to borrow in total 720 billion, Honorable Speaker. So there's a gap of about 120 billion, which will be above the ceiling. And we are saying, Honorable Speaker, this House must stick to our already passed ceiling.
But again, we have been given further facts that if we were to go the debt anchor direction, where we want to borrow as a percentage of the GDP, we have already exceeded, because the authorities are proposing that we borrow 55% of GDP. But the statistics given by this committee is such that we have already borrowed 67% of GDP. So that is something that this House needs to look into in depth.
There are very many MDAs, ministries, departments, and agencies that have different accounts, and they have a lot of money there. But when you ask the country in the CFS, how much money do we have? We don't have money, and yet each ministry, each MDA has some money there lying out there. It is not being used. The financial year is over. There is money being held in all these many MDAs, totaling to hundreds of billions of dollars. But what happens to that money? We go and look for fresh money and come and put in here. They will not use the money again. We will still have a debt we have accrued. At the end of the, again, on the other hand, we have interest we are paying on. We are saying, let's have one treasury account.
The same report says that borrowing domestically is not good because, one, there are higher interest rates, there is a shorter maturity period, there is a higher portion of debt servicing cost within the total amount of debt. But at the same time says, no, for external debt is even worse because there is a risk. It's risky because of the exchange rate risk. So I'm wondering, I mean, you are saying both of them are bad, then why borrow?